Hey guys, welcome back to another episode here on the Realm. And it has been a couple of weeks since I put out a video here. I've been playing some other games lately, including Minecraft Dungeons that I've been having a blast playing. If you guys haven't checked that out, definitely worth the $20 price tag. It is a lot of fun. Since last episode, I've been doing a little bit of work over here, mostly planning, figuring out how everything's going to be laid out in the end. How this middle tower is going to fit into everything. The positioning of it has to be very specific, so whenever the player is standing in the middle area, all the farms around it are active and piping the drops over into the storage area that is going to be located in the middle. And in doing the math to figure out the exact layout, I found out that unfortunately this witch hut here is just a little bit too far away from that one there to be able to have them both active at the same time. But with how efficient the one witch farm is that we have up and running, we honestly don't need a second one. I was originally planning on making a double witch farm out of this area just because I didn't think the production out of one of these farms was going to be that great. But after having this thing run for a while, it's putting out way more drops than I thought it was going to, honestly. So what we're going to transition to doing is working on a drown farm. So originally there was a river that ran through this area. And you can see that I've got a little bit lined out over here. I actually joined a stream with Human Chaos this past Sunday. And I will have a link down in the description of that video if you're interested in checking it out. We spent about 2 hours off and on working on getting this area lined out where the river biome was. If you didn't know, you can look in F3, and on the left side it tells you what biome you're in. But basically we had to methodically go through this area and mark out the boundaries of the river. In between the red glass is where the river biome actually is. So after I get this middle tower build set up, I'm going to work on a drown farm, and it's going to take quite a while too. You can see that this is a big area that we can utilize to make this farm. It's not going to be that big, but it's probably going to be a pretty massive farm since we've got plenty of space to work with here. So I think that next I'm going to work on this middle tower a little bit. And I will come back in whenever I've made a little bit of progress on it. Okay, so I've taken a little bit of time and got something started over here that I like. I was having a little trouble coming up with a block palette that I wanted to use. I really like to use glazed terracotta, and I was hoping to come up with some kind of a design here that would also go with the gray concrete and the dark prismarine that I've used over in the farm. Want this to be fairly cohesive in this area. Things kind of go together. This might change, especially this middle area here. I might get something with a little bit more color, but for now I'm happy with it the way that it works. You can see that this is going to be kind of the AFK platform where the player is going to stand in this area and all the different farms are going to be active around it. You can see that the witch farm is chugging along while we're in this area. The witches are just raining down, the drops are collecting, and then the plan is to make some kind of a system to pipe it over to this area with some water tubes. And then down below, probably about the floor level is going to be about right down to here, and then there's going to be storage chests stacked all around for the drops of that farm and the other farms that we're going to put in this area. And then up above, probably about twice as high as those pillars currently are, we're basically going to have all the things that we have up in this top area that we had this temporary platform made out for. We're going to have the nether portal, we're going to have beds, workstations, storage for building blocks and other materials that we might need as we're doing work in this area. So at least we have a good start on this area for now, but for the bulk of this episode, I was actually wanting to go over to the wither skeleton farm that I built a while back. I've had some people ask, how did I get all of the beacons that I've put in this area and in other areas that I've showed you guys? So let's head on over to the wither skeleton farm and I'll give you a tour of that. Okay, I am here at the Wither Skeleton Farm. You can see I've got a sign here, follow the red brick road. I have the path down to the farm paved in red nether brick. I really like the look of this block, but it's a pretty expensive block to make. It requires a ton of nether wart to make these things. If I've got enough time at the end of this video, I might show you the nether wart farm that I had to make back in my base, so I had enough materials to make this build. So you'll also see that I have a potion of fire resistance on my hotbar. Whenever I come down to this farm, or any nether fortress for that matter, I like to have a potion of fire on my hotbar in case the worst happens and I plunge down into a lava lake. I can chug this thing and I've got enough time to get to safety. It saved me more than once. That's a bit of a tip for you guys. You find that you're dying in the nether a lot. So as we make our way down to the farm... Oh, let me deal with this guy real quick. There we go. Okay, where were we? So, as you can tell, and obviously, this is a farm that utilizes a nether fortress, because that is the only place that wither skeletons will spawn. And you can also see all of the stonework that we have here. I've talked about in my past videos the importance to spawn-proof the area around the farm so you get the best rates out of the farm. I use stone slabs for this one. If I had to do it again, I might use a block that didn't stand out quite as much, but I had to use so many of them here, and this is really the block that I had the most of. Thousands and thousands of blocks were used to make this perimeter. Actually, let's look at the stats to see exactly what we got here. We're looking for blocks placed times used. That's what we want. Okay, so the pickaxe is of course what I've used the most of. Wow, almost 600,000 times. In stone slabs, I've placed almost 22,000 stone slabs. And I am not the only one that placed stone slabs for this project. I had a couple friends that got on here and helped me out. So I would say conservatively, probably about 25,000 stone slabs were used to make this perimeter. It's pretty crazy. And a lot of this is actually over a lava lake. Ideally, that's what you want to find whenever you're looking to make a wither skeleton farm out of a fortress. You want to find some cross sections of the fortress that are over a lava lake, so it minimizes the amount of space that you do have to spawn proof with slabs or other things. So right off the bat, you'll see I got a beacon here like I do in all my builds. A lot of people don't realize that you can actually use beacons in the nether. They will go through the bedrock roof of the nether. You just have to make a path up there through the netherrack, and then you can get the effects in the nether as well. So I'm going to come up to the spawning platforms here, and right off the bat you can see what's going on. This is probably my favorite farm that I've made on this realm, just because the number of mechanics that come into play here to make this thing work. This is another farm that was designed by Logical Geek Boy. I will have the link down in the description in case you guys want to check out the tutorial, want to try to make this in your world. But fair warning, this is quite a project to make in survival. And the least of which is all of these wither roses that I had to gather. The wither roses are all along the spawning platforms. The spawning platforms are in the cross-section of the fortress. You can see that the fortress came down this way, and then it intersected here. The cross-sections of the fortress are where the biggest bounding boxes are, and the best place to make these farms. So by covering the spawning platforms in wither roses, all of the other mobs that spawn here, and the other mobs that can spawn here are zombie pigmen, blazes, let's see, regular skeletons, and occasionally some magma cubes as well. They will take damage from the wither roses and quickly die off, while the wither skeletons do not take damage from the wither roses, and they're left unharmed. So all of the mobs that aren't wither skeletons are weeded out from the other ones. And then in the back half of the platform here, we have some dogs that are caged up. This is pretty interesting having to get dogs here and breed a bunch of them to make this farm. You can see I got the kennel club here where I have the original parents of all these dogs, Nitro and Zombie. So the purpose of the dogs back here on this back half are to scare the wither skeletons that spawn back here to the front part of the spawning platform, where they catch the eye line of the golem that's at a very specific height, actually standing on an enchanting table to be right at the right eye level, and they draw the wither skeletons over to the drop chute, and then they go down to the killing area. A really cool set of mechanics that make this farm work. And I've even got turtle eggs over here on the sides, so in case the zombie pigmen get close to the drop chute, they're actually drawn over to the eggs. For whatever reason, they really hate turtle eggs, so they're drawn over here rather than going down to the drop chute. So I'm going to go ahead and head on down to the killing floor. What I'll probably do is load in my camera account so you can see in real time what's going on up here as the player is down there. And I made a spiral staircase in one of the original pillars of the Nether Fortress here that goes down there. I generally just fly down there, but it's nice to have. I think it's pretty cool to have this spiral staircase. What I'm actually going to do is go ahead and just drop down here. So here is the killing area, and you can see a few wither skeletons drop in here as they spawn up there. Big pack of them there. Oh wow, okay. What we like to see. But this is another farm where the rates are very, very good, but they're never going to be as good as some other farms. Okay, we've actually got a blaze. Every now and then we'll get a blaze that makes its way down here, because blazes actually have a ton of health. Go ahead and kill some of these guys. And then we'll start to see more spawn in fairly quickly. Yeah, but this isn't going to be as quick as some of the other farms just because the other mobs are spawning in up there and they have to die off before wither skeletons can spawn. But the rates are still, I mean, extremely good. It does not take long at all to get skulls out of this farm. So they're essentially one hit. I could just punch these guys if I wanted to. You can see that there's a skull right there that went into the system. But of course you want to use a looting sword whenever you're using this farm to get the best chances to get skulls. So what I'm going to do right now is actually load in my camera account while I'm down here, so you can kind of get a better idea of what is going on up top. Okay, so here we go. Right off the bat, you can see the huge number of mobs that are spawning in here. The pigmen and the blazes are taking the damage and dying off. Wither skeletons are being scared around and eventually make their way over to the drop chamber fairly quickly, really. See them just falling down in there. And believe it or not, this farm is actually going to be buffed in the Nether update. In the 1.16 update, they're making a change where only wither skeletons are going to be able to spawn on the block that has a wither rose. So, essentially, these other mobs aren't going to have to be spawning and weeded out. It's just constantly going to be wither skeletons spawning on here and siphoning down in there. It's going to instantly make this farm 3, 4, 5 times better and quicker. This farm is already OP and gets you plenty of the supplies that you need, but after this next update, it's just going to be insane. Yeah, but this farm is going to get so much better with that little bit of a tweak that they're making in the mechanics. But now that you've seen this thing and how it's working, I will actually go down underneath of the killing floor and show you the sorting system. Okay, so as we kill off these guys, there's a sorting system that we have underneath here. It's fed with all of these hoppers. Goes down there and it sorts all the different items out. And while you're using this farm, You're gonna get some drops that fall into your inventory just because of how close we are to the wither skeletons here. Oh, you can even see I got a couple of wither skulls that have popped in my inventory while I've been here. Most of the items are going to go down into the filter, but for the ones that do get in your inventory, I've got a chest here that we can just kind of throw those items in and it'll be filtered down in there. Oh, there's a skull right there. So let's go down here and I'll show you what this looks like. But the items that wither skeletons drop are, of course, the skulls, bones, which are super useful for all their bone meal, and coal. Coal is a great fuel source. You always need coal for torches. You can see the crazy number of wither skeleton skulls that we get here. And I honestly don't come here that often at all. And the swords, they get siphoned over here into lava where they're instantly incinerated, so you don't have to worry about weeding them out from all the other items. So before we leave here, I'm actually going to do a quick flyover of the area. You can kind of get an overview and see all that goes into this farm. Okay, before we leave this farm, I'm actually going to do a quick flyover of the area so you can get a better view of everything. Before I do that, I'm actually going to change a setting under video details. Yes, I'm going to turn off the fog. That's another setting that Optifine allows you to adjust. So let's go ahead and take off here. You can get a better idea of the perimeter that had to be made here. We made a circle out of slabs to kind of get an idea of 128 blocks in all directions from the center of the spawning platforms. We had to move it out a little bit from that because the player doesn't stand in the very center of the platforms, of course. But this gives you an idea of the scope of this farm. And of course, all of the fortress itself is also slabbed over. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to head back to my base and show you the iron farm, show you the other half of getting beacons. And I'll actually show you how I kill withers as well, the wither bosses. So I will cut back in whenever I get to my base. Okay, we are back at my base. We're actually on the surface of my base. As you know, most of it is underground. So this is the original village. You can see all of these structures here are mostly original to the village that my base mate originally settled down in. And she made this building here. It's originally what her base was before I joined and we went down. And this is a project that she has been working on since the very beginning, I believe. She's constantly adding to it, and it has grown to just monstrous proportions. I think it's really cool looking. It's probably going to go all the way up to build height at some point, the way that it's going. So over here is the iron farm. I'm actually going to land on top of this castle build here so we can get a good look at it. There you go. Okay, so this is a fairly standard iron farm. It was originally designed by Doc M. He is on the Hermitcraft server. It uses a couple of villagers on either side, actually 3 of them. You can see 2 golems spawning in right there. So there's actually 2 cells here. And about every 30 seconds, each one of these cells spawns in an iron golem. So right now it's kind of synchronized and there's 2 of them at the same time. And this uses some pretty cool mechanics too. There's a zombie in the middle that scares these villagers on the sides to make an iron golem. And they bob up and down in the water, so they only catch eyesight of them occasionally. That's just how the mechanics work on it. And I think that this is another farm that is going to get buffed in the Nether update. I've heard that the villagers won't even have to have workstations for this thing to work. And I made this way up in the sky because I was not sure if it was going to interfere with the village. All the villagers down there with the spawning. I think I did a little bit of an overkill. What are we at here? We're at 190Y, so it's pretty crazy high. But we've got this dropping down here. And then this siphons down into the underground part of the base. We'll go down there. Here's an entrance to it right here. And from my base tours in the past, you probably have seen where these guys feed down into. Yeah, they feed right down into here, into the lava, and then they die off, and then all their drops are collected over here. This farm is just crazy, crazy good. There's one right there. You can see what kind of production, and all of these are full of iron blocks. What kind of crazy production these farms have. So this is how I get all of the blocks to not only make all the hoppers and components of redstone, but also the bases of most of my beacons. And while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and fly down here to the end of this mine shaft to show you where I have fought a ton of withers. I'll cut back in once I get to that spot because it's a little bit down a hallway. So I'll be right back. So this is the area that I have fought a ton of withers in. You can see that they've blasted open a pretty big area, and looks like there's still some chickens in here. That's how I got all those wither roses for the farm, is just spamming eggs in here and having tons of chickens whenever you spawn the wither boss. Whenever the wither boss kills any entity, it will drop a wither rose, and chickens is really the easiest way to do it. After that cavern got so big, I actually came over here. In the latest ones, there's some more chickens there. The latest ones have actually been fought over here. And I don't remember, but I might have even branched off to get another area over there. So most, and oh, he's got an egg, okay. So most of the wither fights have been taking place here. But since I got the farm up and running not that long ago, my need for the stars has kind of grown, and it's, you know, tiresome to fight them old manual way. So I've taken advantage of the exploit you can use in the end, and I will quickly warp over there and show you that if you guys don't know what that is. Okay, so we are here on the main end island, and you can see that I have a beacon set up over here. I have it set to strength 2 to speed up the process. And for those of you that don't know, there's currently an exploit in the game that allows you to trap a wither boss in the bedrock underneath of the main end island portal. This is the only place that I know of that you can actually trap them down in here. And I had never done this before until my buddy Septic Spud came on the realm, and he offered to show me how this was done. Unfortunately, he did not have the orientation right. And he didn't even get it right the second time. We might even had to do it 3 times before we got the positioning just right. So that meant that we had wither bosses loose on the end island that we had to fight off, and they didn't just hang out on the ground. They went way up in the air. So that was interesting to fight those guys off. But this is the correct orientation. There are videos on YouTube that you can look up, but I believe I've heard rumors that this exploit is going to be patched up in the Nether update. I'm not sure how true that is, but it is a rumor going on. So you do it horizontally, spawn them in, and you can even stand right down here. The explosion that he does right off the bat does not do that much damage to the player. I've actually got my Smite 5 sword here to speed it up even further. And you'll see how quickly you can take down this guy. In a matter of seconds, you get a Wither Star. So while I do believe in actually fighting the Wither boss for real for the first bit in a world, once you've done it a number of times like I have in this world, I think that you've earned the right to do it on a mass production scale like this. And that really allows you to have access to something like this. A box that I just use whenever I want a beacon. That's why I'm able to put so many beacons in the world wherever I want. This is the first world where I've had this kind of wealth where I've been able to just, you know, put beacons everywhere. And it is really, really nice. I like to have a beacon pretty much wherever I am, wherever I'm building, ideally. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this episode. I apologize that it's been so long since I've done an episode. Like I said, it's been basically because I've been addicted to Minecraft Dungeons lately. It is a really fun game. I recommend checking it out if you guys haven't yet. And I'll be coming back to the end here before too long. I need to do some end busting, get some more sets of wings and shulkers, and I will show you the Enderman farm that I built at that time. But that wraps it up for this one. I appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button and consider subscribing to see more videos like this in the future. And I'll see you guys in the next one.